Okay, so for our next lesson, we are going to be doing a dragon's eye pastel. And here's kind of just an example of the lesson. And this is just one I found. This one is actually done in pastel, which is what you're going to be using. You're going to have 3 different types that you can use. But here's another example. This one's done in colored pencils, so you can see a little bit more sharpness to the pattern itself, but we're going to use pastel since we haven't used that before. So what you're going to do first is I have a video for you to watch from Coal Black Exotics, which is a business my sister runs, and they have all sorts of reptiles and stuff, and you're going to be able to watch it and see exactly what real eyes, like living eyes, look like of reptiles, because that's the closest thing that we have right now that you could see to a dragon. And after you've watched that video, and I'll send that to you as a reference throughout so you can refer back to that later. But after you've watched the video, then you're going to have a chance to go through and look at photographs of reptiles. So this would be, snakes, like dragons that we have, bearded dragons or lizards or stuff like that. Any type of reptile that would have a similar eye to what we think of dragons' eyes would look like. Once you've found a photograph or found some photographs, now these would be photographs of actual animals, not drawings from Pinterest or looking up dragons and going from somebody else's video or somebody else's drawing. Like I have an example here of just some eyes because I was trying to find you some examples so I wouldn't have to draw a whole bunch for you, but these are actually some of these examples that they've drawn of actual like what they think dragon eyes would look like. But you're going to have a reference of a photograph of some reptile eyes, and you're going to use those references to start your drawing from. So once you have some photographs that you've picked out, you're going to use that for your eye portion of it. So you'll go and research what type of, like, the look for the eye, like the eyeball part, the the shape, because some reptiles have a round shape, some have like this odd shaped here. So you go and you'll look to see what type of shape and what type of eye. Some of them have like a different type of pupil depending on the type of reptile you choose. So you're going to look for that in the photograph. Then I have, and you can use some of the photographs, but I also have some sheds that my sister has sent me that you can go in and look through. And what's nice about these is you can see you can go in and look through for like the different shape of the like the scales that you would see. So you can look at these for references, and I have like a whole box of them because some of them are really detailed in like the octagonal shape, or some of them get wide as you go around the face. And you might be at my brother-in-law, I think he was going to try to focus on the face, so you may be able to see some of those in the actual pictures that he takes. But like I said, I have these sheds that you can go in and look and see like the different shapes depending on what type of snake it is. But I've got a lot of these that you can look at too to kind of figure out some shapes. See, like in here you're going to have something that goes around your eye, to kind of connect the tissue. Then you may have some different type of scales as you move out. You've got like these rectangle ones, these linear ones here, and then some of them have more of a these look almost like a scale, like of a fish or something. This one here, which is a watercolor I'd found, this almost has, how like I think bearded dragons have those little pricklies to them, and like little time, almost like a fish again. So you can kind of pick and choose what type of scales you have. So once you have an idea in your head, then it comes to drawing. We're going to use a smaller piece, or this is small, but you're going to use a little bit larger piece of black paper because we want our pastels to show up really bright on them. And you're going to draw. You're going to first decide on the actual shape of your eye. So you'll draw in that eye shape. Then you're going to decide, are you going to have like a little bit of extra around the eye before you start out on the scales. Like some of these, like I said, does it have like some little connective part, then goes into the bigger scales? You'll have to make that decision. Like on mine, I had kind of like almost like a lower eyelid, and then these scales that went around here that were more square, and then as I got down here I decided I wanted to do more of like, I don't know if you'd see, get these, it's like kind of like a fish scale, more of a, I don't know what shape, kind of more of the larger shape here, where it was more of a linear, longer shape, closer to here. So you'll make those decisions as you go. It's kind of up to you. If you'd want to put, you know, some of the, I'd have to look at some examples, but maybe some horn type of scales above the eye, you could go in and do that, see how they would connect. But I mean, that's up to you how you want your eye to look. Once you have it drawn, then you're going to have some options for pastel. You have these basic, and these would be kind of like your base colors that you would put on first. And I have these two, some tones here. You have these colors, and you can do pretty much all the base colors in these. And then I have some ones for more detail that you would build up with. You have these new pastels, and they are a little bit harder, so they don't blend as well, but you can do more details with them. And then I have for like the finished, for the very final drawing, I have these tinted charcoals, and these are pretty much darks, but you would go in at the very end and like smooth out like around here to get that little black on the edge. You would go in and kind of add that final detail to pull up those extras. So when you do this, you want to start by, I've kind of just started a little bit, but I know this is upside down, but it's going to be easier for me to blend going this direction. So if I wanted to do this red on this side, you're going to want to get one of the throwing sponges, wet it down, because when you blend mostly with your hands. Ever so often you'll use like a blending stump, and I actually made this one because you'll go through a lot of them because they'll get pretty dirty. But easiest to blend with your hands because you're just blending them together, and a piece of paper. So, and maybe even like some scratch paper if you're not sure how stuff will blend. But like on this one, I did the yellow, and I'd started it here, and then I had a bright red and I think an orange, but I just went right to filling that red in here. I think that's the red I used. Yeah, it is. All the way around. And you can overlap it. And this is nice because you kind of massage it in and give that layer. And you can go up to this one. You can kind of blend it around, go to the edge. Pastels are one of those things where you kind of have to take your time because they're, I would say, a fast media, but it's kind of a precise. Now, it's going to have a lot of chalk on it, so don't blow it here. Like, go to the trash and blow it off in the trash because it'll have that buildup. Now, with this part here, once I have the red, I'm going to overlap and then kind of blend in that motion that I want that to have that look. It'll, as long as you blend it, it'll have that kind of cat's eye look. Now, if you don't want it to have the red on it, you're gonna have to clean your hand on the sponge dry it because you can't blend with the, and then go back in and not mess in that area. Now, if I want it not quite a smooth line like that, then I'll blend a little on that edge. Now, if I wanted to go on top, see how that's kind of orangish? Go right on top of that red and blend. So then, like, I have an orange and a darker red here. I don't have a darker red here, but I could use one of these dark reds. They're a little harder, but you can go in on top. They'll blend the same. That's actually pink. That's not the one I grabbed earlier. Let's see. Maybe this was this one. But just work with it until you have it how you wanted. Now, you wanted a detail, like you wanted these lines of something real fine. You could use these here. Let me see. These harder ones here, you could go in and draw it in and not blend it. If you went to blend it, it's going to lighten or even color, but you could go in, these are harder. These here you're not going to get a very, see, you're not going to get as fine of a line, but here you're going to get a pretty fine line if you use them. You want to have kind of like a, I don't know, a eerie kind of look to it. Maybe make that a little yellower. Then if you wanted to do maybe some dark, like here I'm going to have this black in here. Maybe I wanted the black to kind of go in. But you just kind of build it up. Now, that's for that there. For the greens, you're going to just kind of do the same thing, but you know, with your different colors. Maybe I like to think about your colors, you really want to think about what goes together. Color wheel. You're not going to want to use stuff that's across on the color wheel because it's going to not blend well. Stuff side by side works really well. So stuff in the same like color scheme, greens and greens, or stuff that's side by side like reds and oranges and yellows, because you know they're going to blend well. You know they're going to flow. If they're not together, sometimes they won't blend well when you flow them. Now, that doesn't mean they won't work. It just means they might be questionable. So those would be the ones you'd practice first. But like on this one, I did a green here. Kind of wanted to make it stand out. Then, I think I probably just did one of these or something. I don't know. Overlapped them where I wanted it to blend. Check my finger. This one was the one I used with the red, so either clean it or use another one and blend it. Now, if your fingers aren't that wide, get your blended stump. Oh, this one's red because I'd used it on something. And then use it to kind of match that area. See how you can get a nice filled area here? Get it exactly how you want it. Then you can go in, there's some shades in those charcoals, like there's a dark green. You could go in and like add some shadows, build up that area in between. I would use these last as you're kind of finishing it up. So kind of just as you go, kind of play with it. Maybe you want to go from greens to, you know, purples maybe. I really like kind of playing with blending two of the same, or ones that are kind of by each other on the color wheel. I think they blend really well together. And it may take a couple layers, and as you blend it, you may want to blow it off. Again, I would do it over the trash and not in front of somebody if there's somebody beside you. You may want to do some highlights too if you're doing, let's see if I can find a light purple or maybe in a light blue. You know, maybe you want kind of like, I don't know, highlight on the edge. So it kind of looks like it's standing up or something, I don't know. You know, if you did that on every one on that side, it would kind of look like it had like a edge that folded up or something. So basically you'd have, again, like in the eyeball too, you'll notice as you look at your pictures of the real ones, they're gonna have, you know, highlights, and that would be kind of like finishing touches and everything. But you're just going to do your whole thing all the way through, shade with the pastel, build up, you know, smooth it with either your finger or a blending stump, add layers with detail, either with the harder pastels that are like this, or even, like I said, towards the end, if you wanted to use some of the charcoal pencils, you could do those. You'll do the details, then it'll be completely colored, and that will be your dragon's eye. So you'll watch the videos, you'll pick out, you know, go through and find some actual photographs, kind of get yourself an idea, photograph like the shape of the eye, kind of like what type of pupil you're gonna have, maybe some examples of some different scales that you're gonna like. Then you gotta draw it, and horizontal, they're all gonna be horizontal. So we have, this is gonna be like our main focus is the eyeball. Then you're gonna add the details around the scales. Then you'll set it up with pastels, put your base colors, which will probably be more with these if I had to guess. Build up the details either with those, just with layers, or go to the small ones and then finish it up. And that is our project, our dragon's eyes.